Across the Paldea region, there are dozens of Pokemon with a mutation referred to as terrestrialization. These Pokemon can change their types to one that ranges from somewhat to very different from their original. While they may be outcasts, I'd like to give them a home and prove their worth by making them champions beyond any doubt. This means that we won't just battle our way through Nemona or Professor Sato, but also Kieran and Terapagos in the DLC. However, like I said, there are a lot of wild Tera Pokemon. So, in addition to the standard hardcore Nuzlocke rule set, I'll also be limiting my encounters to one of each Tera type. I want to give them all a home, but I'm just one guy. It takes a little bit before we get our first group of friends, so I set aside an hour and a half to make my way through the tutorial. I'm aware I could have cheesed the terrain to leave the starting area and acquire my first Pokemon early to fight Nemona, but I didn't feel like it. Afterwards, I head east to get my Poison Tera for the run, Dunfected the Dunsparce, who's over the level cap. After catching her, I head a little further east to get my real starter, who would not stop walking in circles. Frostio, the Ice-type Shinx. Yet another Intimidate Mon who doesn't have Intimidate. Starting to think these abilities aren't actually 50-50. Dunfected being over the level cap changes things up a little bit, because before we take on the first gym, we have to head to Kitakami to begin the DLC story. Kieran and Carmine are lower level than Gym 1, but with Frostio alone, I feel uneasy. At least with Carmine, Frostio could take advantage of her rivalry and get an attack boost against her whole team. It's also nice that the Poochyena spends her one turn setting up without doing any damage. I knew Vulpix would be coming in right after, given our less than ideal Tera matchup, and came prepared. While they waste a turn using Spite and only end up hitting Frostio with one Ember, we would have been fine with two thanks to our Oranberry. The Poltergeist proves to be an issue after withdrawing and using Mega Drain, but even then we're completely safe and finish the fight with another Ice Fang. The next day we battle Kieran and his Sentret gets frozen alive turn 1. I kinda feel evil, not gonna lie. He doesn't even have a death animation. Yanma is then one-shot by the 100% accurate Spark, and that's that. And this guy's supposed to be one of the hardest fights in the series? Yeah, right. Oh, no, Frostio! I'm not ready for you to grow up yet. Other than fighting the siblings and taking our first picture in front of a signboard, I'm also here to pick up my Bug Tera for the run, Buglin. I love Applin and have big plans for this little guy. Aw, look at these guys! Oh, wow, I guess Frostio has some beef with Dunfected. Don't worry, Frostio, you're within the level cap. You're the real starter. Back in Paldea, I take on Katie to get my first gym badge. Here I actually lead with Buglin. For every major fight, my Pokemon will be terrestrializing turn 1 no matter what. We're not hiding from who we are, and I'd rather have a Bug type out rather than my Ice type. Nimble's double kicks would be deadly, but after dealing some damage, Frostio can enter the fight as an Electric type and take out both early route bugs. Fury Cutter from the Tera Teddiursa will hit like a truck, but we go for the damage right away and not only land a crit, but also paralyze them. Then they miss Fury Cutter. Kinda felt like overkill, but either way, we land another Spark, winning us the fight. As a reward, we get the TM for Pounce. It's really weird, this is the only TM Buglin can learn other than Terra Blast until he evolves. Nice coincidence, we'll take it. So there's gonna be a lot of back and forth in the early game here. It won't ever feel seamless, but we're back to Kitakami to do a little more exploring with Kieran. This leads us to the Ogre's Den, and in hopes of getting the Ogre's attention, he suggests a battle. What? In a Pokemon game? The battle isn't too tough, but this little guy is the reason that Dunfected is on the team so early. The level cap is only 17 right now, so ideally I'd preserve him for EXP management, but Frostio surprisingly wouldn't have the damage for this soft elongated creature. Dunfected really shines in his debut though. Body Slam procs a Para immediately, and that lets him finish off the fight. And everyone is still within the level cap by the end. If you couldn't tell by now, there are not a lot of early game Teras available. Technically I could pick up some in the South Providence area too, but none of them would really help in the next two major fights. Not to mention I'd like to save those Tera types for later encounters. Cloth is typically not the biggest threat, but we're gonna travel a little further ahead to buy some leftovers to play it safe. I'm not taking any risks. But I feel a little silly when the fight starts. We trade hits, and it's painfully obvious who's doing more damage. So oh, wow. Once every 3 seconds, huh? Phase 1 ends in no time, and for most of Phase 2, Cloth just focuses damage on Arven. Who steals the kill from me with Ice Shard? What the heck? Look guys, a smooth 29 frames! It was all in our heads! Fun fact, if you do the Sunflora challenge at night, 9 of them fall asleep and are really easy to find. Anyways, Brassius is no biggie. Dunfected once again does what he does, and takes care of the gym. I will say, Truly Wudo did more damage than I was expecting, so the leftovers actually came in clutch. Now the level cap is jumping all the way to 24 and opens up the encounter table by a lot. However, even still, some don't spawn until a certain part in the story, I guess. And then the others are right at the level cap, so I'm holding off on getting them. This only leaves me to get my Grass Tera, Foliages the Floette. The cool thing about playing with a DLC is that if I maneuver it correctly, then I can get some pretty nifty items. This includes the Shiny Stone, and this was mandatory. Another Carmine fight is coming up, and Foliages is my best bet at making it through. After I change into my fittingly fashionable Festival Jinbei, the battle begins and Dunfected deals with the Morpeko as easily as you'd guess. The Mightyena is the one that I'm afraid of, and sets up 2 whole howls. This could have gone very bad, but Foliages switches in on a resisted bite, and simply sweeps from there. Carmine has some answers into our Grass Tera, so I wanted to withhold that form. By the way, what happened to her Vulpix? Either way, we get a little breather and spend some time at the Mask Festival. Apples are eaten, sorry Buglin. Ogres are ousted. Oh, I forgot about the XP charm. XP management is going to be a nightmare now. And Ogerpon is sighted. Oh man, Kieran almost saw. That was a close one. Yeah, nice save. Honestly, I can't imagine that going any better. Oh wow, and that's the entire true story about the noble Ogerpon? Wow, I'm so glad Carmine and I got to listen to the whole thing and not Kieran. I can't imagine what I'd do in that scenario. I thought doing all of this would get me the Pokemon I wanted to spawn, but not yet. So it's looking like we'll only get one more addition to the team. It's alright because Grit Bash is my rock encounter and the most important one for the upcoming Tera Bombardier. I'm not crazy, it is Bombardier, right? This fight is usually a huge roadblock for me, with this being a mandatory back-to-back Titan with no breaks. Luckily with the help of Grit Bash, it's a little easier. The only catch is that we won't have our Tera type anymore by round 2. Oh, we do? That's so weird. Well, Grit Bash came preloaded with Rock Slide, so once it finally lands, we're good to go. Couldn't have done it without you, Arvin. The only real downside to acquiring Grit Bash is that he's from the same location as the fairy Tera Vulpix. I would have loved to have her for the upcoming Team Star endeavor, but it's fine. And the reason why it's fine is because with the ability to swim at my fingertips, I can finesse the terrain and get the evolution item that I've been looking for Buglin. He can finally learn some moves and put in work. Not to mention our new friend Normantis. Being a normal Tera, I'm not sure if he'll excel at anything in particular, but he's certainly a good Pokemon regardless. Against Giacomo, I learned very quickly that leading with Buglin might have been a mistake. Pawniard has crazy coverage and immediately hits us with Aerial Ace. Our Dragon Breath doesn't do us any favors, so I switched to Dunfected. Both Pounce and Bulldoze would have activated Pawniard's Defiant, but luckily we picked up the Flamethrower TM in Kitakami. They got everything over there. I tried to trip the Starmobile, but Normantis is the one who racks up most of the damage. He could in theory finish them off, but because he's dead to a crit, Buglin returns to slowly but surely finish them off instead. I'm not gonna lie, I really like the team we're building right now, but we need to pick up the pace if we're gonna be taking on the Blueberry Academy. Iono in theory is our last major hurdle for the early game, and I believe her battle will define the rest of the run. But Nemona sneaks up on me for our first official battle of many, but Buglin sweeps anyways, and we go on to get our last buddy for the gym. Welcome in Groundearth the Growlithe to Team Tera. Oh, and would you look at that? The Firestone is only a couple steps away. Well, Pokewen and Pokeroam. Again, no Intimidate by the way. This is the first gym where it's relevant, but I am in fact using the anime rules for gym battles, as in, I'll be using the same number of Pokemon as each gym leader. But it turns out I didn't even need that many. With Groundearth's help, this becomes the easiest fight against Iono I've ever had. He takes care of all of her Pokemon until Ms. Magius gets a lucky confusion hit, then Foliages tags in to save the day from there. It's crazy, all of these guys were outcasts, yet even this early on, every single Team Tera member has shined so bright. Speaking of shine, oh, I'm on the wrong side. Speaking of shining, the first of many more friends soon joins the team. Yanmind is first up, and he doesn't have any really great matchups yet like the previous encounters. I just think he's neat. And that's alright, because Kieran isn't that much stronger than he was the last time we battled. Who are you? Don't get me wrong, I like his team, but the only real difference is his Diplin. Mimicry is flattery, Kieran, and something gets you nowhere. No one tell him I also got a Yanma, please. With 3 badges in hand, it should be smooth sailing for a bit. Yanmind might not get to carry any fights, but the next couple of Pokemon surely will. Our Water Tera for the run is Aqua Iced, and I'm pretty excited to use this little they-them. I quickly find an unremarkable Teacup to evolve my very remarkable Pokemon and challenge Mela. Remarkably, Aqua Iced solos. Right before we fight the Titan Orthworm, we stop by to pick up Flamia the Curlia. My sneak up on him strat didn't work at first, but he joins the team and evolves in no time. I was gonna evolve him into Gardevoir, but I really wanted to try out the newer Sharpness ability. Dang it! Anyways, Flamea solos. Actually, you know what? I like Gaflame better. Back in Kitakami, Aquai's solos the boss Milotic so we could fix Ogerpon's mask. But for some reason Kieran is really upset and steals the mask? What the heck? I didn't do anything! We battle for the mask, and with this Pokemon still unevolved... Oh, cool, a Cramorant! Oh, good heavens! Wait, Cold Missile! No! Well, I guess Frostio has no contention for being the main starter now. Man, now we'll never get to see if Dunfected is a 3-segment form. I'm actually really bummed out about this. You know, oftentimes I have very specific Pokemon in mind that I'm excited to use in a run. Dunfected was one of them. When she evolved, I was gonna rename her to Dunfected. Well, Kieran demonstrates his power of reincarnation and resurrects the Loyal 3. Couldn't have aimed that in my direction. Dunfected was already part poison. Well, back to the grind. The Electric Tera Nosepass, nicknamed Probolt, joins the rotation and immediately evolves. Frostio follows suit, ready to do some damage, but the Ice Tera type doesn't make her the best lead for Kofu. I love these games, but this hurts. Like usual, my new buddy terastallizes and solos each and every one of Kofu. Okay, I way underestimated Crabominable. Obviously, I should have just switched to Aquai's to begin with, but I wanted to continue the narrative I've been building. Rest in peace, Probolt. I need to be extra careful from now on. Bleeding out teammates like this will prove to be very bad by the time we get to the postgame. And honestly, that might be asking too much. I was low-key hoping to sweep Atticus with Ground Earth, Grip Bash, and maybe Gaflame, but this ended up being a huge hurdle. His Skuntank gets a cheeky Toxic set before getting taken out by Dig, and that chip will be really bad considering Dig is Ground Earth's main damaging move. Then Revavroom turns out to be faster and lands an Iron Head that does a solid 50 damage. Miraculously, we get flinched. This is really good because there's a chance that Toxic would have finished us off while digging. Grip Bash fortunately doesn't get flinched by the following Iron Head and safely bulldozes them into oblivion. When it comes to Muck, Gaflame will be good to go given our immense special bulk and Held Assault Vest, but that's all negated due to Sludge Wave landing the crit and poisoning immediately. Great. Without Psycho Cut yet, Gaflame only has Psychic to take them out, so 2 turns later, we do it, but we've racked up way too much damage for the Starmobile. Actually, all 3 of my main guys for this fight are too weak now. I have to improvise. This Starmobile has the Toxic Debris ability, so whenever it gets hit by a physical attack, Toxic Spikes will place. So Yanmine takes the field to hit them with the Special Psychic, prolonging that outcome. Yanmine has a plus defense nature, so he's able to hold on just long enough to bring them under half. With Yanmine's low health, Frostio tags in on a random move, and thankfully it's just Flame Charge. This weaker attack lets my Electrical Lion hit them with a couple sparks. 2 layers of Toxic Spikes are set now, and we get poisoned by Noxious Torque. But because Frostio barely lives on 3, I get switched to Normantis, who just hovers over the spikes, and gets poisoned by Noxious Torque. Okay, this is cutting it incredibly close. We could be dead to another hit and poison, but we're also holding the Sharp Beak to boost our wing attack. If this doesn't kill them, then I don't know what I'll do. Oh my goodness. Well, my team isn't exactly hanging in there, and this car is outspeeding everyone with its base 130 speed. I only have one option left. In a turn of desperation, I switch to the Terastallized Ground Earth, and the resisted Noxious Torque is not enough to finish him off. Because we had switched out, the toxic damage reset, and my big dog lives to use extreme speed, and barely wins us the match by the skin of our teeth. If there's anything you should take away from this, it's do not mess with art majors. Oh my goodness, my poor team. In preparation for our fight against the Loyal 3, Frosty and I go item farming. It looks like she's come down with something while exploring. If this was 2009, I could have made so many creepypastas about this. Get well soon. Ooh, that's a big monkey. Still holding the assault vest, Gaflame checks Monkey Dory very well. Without sharpness, Night Slash won't be doing a whole lot, but neither were they. Against Pheasantipity, Grip Bash leads and does some pretty solid damage thanks to the Drill Run and Earthquake TMs we picked up. Thank you, Kitakami. But it's Ground Earth who snatches up the kill. Last, but in contention for least, is Okidogi. Yanmine finally has a phenomenal matchup and ends up looking like an apex predator. But now it's time I finally pick up the other wild Tera I've been holding out for. Let me introduce you guys to the Ghost Tera, Gulax the Munchlax. As you can imagine, Ghost Tera on a normal type is really good in a playthrough. Gulax and I get along right away, and because I'm so likable and charismatic, he evolves. See? I don't really know what Kieran's problem is. The classic Yawn Protect Leftovers strat keeps Larry at bay and maintains this much needed recovery time for Maticus. And even with Nemona's starter fully evolved, we get to continue chilling out, maxing, relaxing all cool. Gulax yawns her lead Lycanroc and paves the path for Buglin to safely knock out her dog, worm, and other dog? Flower Trick is nowhere near a threat for us, so Buglin uses Syrup Bomb. This lowers their speed by 1 stage each turn for 3 turns, so once we stall out those turns, Ground Earth can enter safely and finish them off with Flamethrower. Things are settling down in Kitakami, and it's time to return Ogerpon to her den. Yeah, she's been following me this whole time, you didn't know? But her home is where we have our final battle against Kieran. He's been a big fan of Ogerpon this entire time and wants to capture her, so he demands that we battle for her. Yeesh, Kieran, on Women's History Month? This battle is serious. Not because of what Kieran wants, but because of what he did. I still haven't gotten over Dunfected's death, and it looks like this devious demon doesn't desire to stop there. Against Shiftry, Yinmine baits an Aerial Ace with his Birth typing, but without Fake Out stopping us, they get Bug Buzzed away before they know it. I'm unsure of how the speed tiers will go between 2 Yanmegas, and we're sure dead to Bug Buzz. Gulax switches in, but their attacks are hitting way harder than I thought they would. We come out on top, but Gulax is in the yellow by the time Poliwrath comes out. I have to play around Belly Drum maximizing its attack, but because they entered on Gulax, they're sure to use Brick Break. I predict correctly, and Yanmine easily scores another knockout. Oh look, a Probopass! Well Kieran, you know what they say, and Gripash already knocked him out, okay? Dipplin isn't much different, as Frostio one-taps him with Ice Fang. Gotta love Wide Lens. Last is Gliscor, and he's really scary. Frostio would be outsped, and Gripash doesn't quite trade hits with this Vampire Scorpion as well as I was hoping. This isn't great. They have something super effective for my entire healthy team, but Yanmine is fast, and his plus defense nature lets him tank 2 whole Bulldozes and wrap up the fight with 1 final Psychic. Now, I don't think this solved any problems, but Kieran seems a little deflated right now. I guess that works out for me because I shouldn't have to worry about anyone else dying. Okay, well, let's address the legendary in the room. Apparently Ogerpon is only level 20 for this fight, so it's actually really easy. And you know, I would have loved to have her on Team Tera. She fits within the rule set after all, kinda. I mean, the Indigo Disc is pretty insane too. I don't think having a legendary like this would be overpowered. But I already have a Fire, Water, Rock, and Grass Tera Pokemon. I don't think I would undo any of those encounters, but GG's Ogerpon, we would have loved to have you. Oh, we also get one last fight against Carmine, but she's not nearly as stressful, and Frostio takes care of most of it. And look at that! I found her Vulpix! But with all of that emotional baggage behind us, I gather the team and get everyone ready for the second half of the base game. That means it's time to expand Team Tera once again. There aren't many more types left, so these next encounters need to be specially chosen. It takes a good chunk of frustrating platforming to get to the first one, but with my immense skill, dang it, we welcome in Tevilton the Tinkatuff. That's a big hammer, oh my goodness. And second off here, let me introduce you all to Amoro the Hakamo'o. A Steel-type pseudo-legendary is going to be great, but not quite yet. It doesn't really matter though, because Tevilton practically solos Rhyme's gym. Then Aqua Ice stands their ground, and Great Tusk stood like no chance. While we're here, I go pick up our flying Tera friend, Cyclite the Cyclizar. Honestly, the hat looks good on her. Will I be using her for the next boss fights? Nope. I mean, why would I? Buglin once again trivializes Nemona. And I'd say it's about time that Normantis evolves. With the power of friendship, my beloved Bug gains the power he needs to solo the entire Psychic Gym. Or at least that was the idea. I've learned my lesson from Probolt's death, and Normantis gets some backup. He's not quite fast enough to sweep on his own. But now our Moro does in fact get to evolve. And you know what that means? That's right, we're so back to the narrative. Our Moro solos. Oh, that's so embarrassing. The same goes for the Fairy Team Starbase. Who would have guessed? The False Dragon Titan and actual Dragon Titan aren't far behind thanks to Foliages. Remember her? And in our final Team Starfight, Cyclide finally gets to show off and make her debut. Her acrobatics takes out the Toxicroak before they can attack us at all. Unfortunately, the Annihilape is next, and I don't think Cyclide is trained enough to one-shot them. Instead, we Shed Tail into Ground Earth, who wins the matchup thanks to Will-O-Wisp. Pessimian is walled by Aquaized, Lucario is one-shot by Gaflame, and Yanmine has the perfect matchup into the Starmobile. And that's that. every major fight before the endgame is complete. Aside from my 2 deaths, I'm glad it went this well, because the real challenge still hasn't even begun. Victory Road. The Pokemon League. I was preparing for this Elite Four for a good minute, and I gotta say, it looks like it'll be tougher than I imagined. Yes, part of it is because I'm using classic Elite Four rules and only bringing 1 team to the gauntlet, but the coverage and sheer firepower is something that I haven't yet run into. Before we head in, I'll be grabbing an extra encounter that could be the make or break for the run. I head to Castle Royale Lake to pick up our Dragon Tera, Gyarados. Gyarados is a great Pokemon all around, and with that, I've got the team. Foliage's is an incredible special wall, and her immunity to dragon attacks, along with her capacity to regenerate, is monumental. Normantis doesn't quite reach the same heights on the physical side of the spectrum, but gets pretty close with his typing and utility. Ground Earth contributes amazing speed and offense, but more importantly, an opportunity to land burns is irreplaceable. Aqua Ice is the Pokemon that I've been sleeping on. Their signature move being Scald, but it heals, is enough on its own. Armoro is our resident pseudo-legend, and her coverage comboed with the Tera type is insane. And finally, we've got our newest member, Gyarados. And yes, she's a Gyarados, but more importantly, we've finally got an Intimidate user. This might be one of my most stacked Elite Four teams ever. With mons like these, I'd like to believe that this endgame will be just as easy as everything else up till now. First up is Rika, and she should be a softball. Well, as long as we don't miss Machagacha and proceed to get frozen by Blizzard. I gotcha. Machagacha thaws Aqua Iced out, and they proceed to one-shot the rest of Rika's team with a combination of their signature move and Scald. Clodsire actually lives an attack, but nothing much comes from it. Poppy's fight is a little more involved, but still, Armoro turns into a Steel type, perhaps poking fun at Poppy, and takes out the Copperajah with a single low kick. Bronzong takes extra attention, with me switching into Gyarados to Intimidate, then to Normantis, who continues to weaken them and eventually take them out with Lunge. Corviknight and his Body Press is here, so I switch to Ground Earth, who ends up taking way more damage than I was expecting from Brave Bird. On the bright side, Flamethrower is more than enough to get the kill, and Magnezone doesn't fare much better. They'd always survive at least 1 hit thanks to Sturdy, but they get burned by Flamethrower. Oops! Tinkaton is the real threat here, with Tera-boosted Gigaton Hammers and other good coverage moves at its disposal. After protecting, I could tell it's going for Stone Edge, but since they don't have a great attack stat, we stay in to use Will-O-Wisp. Oh hey, we would've lived a crit! Armoro switches back in relatively safely, and her Drain Punch just barely doesn't get the kill. When they go for Gigaton Hammer, my heart skips a beat. But then I remember it's into my Steel Tera Komodo. It hardly scratches us, and we win the match mere moments later. Larry is the one that I'm actually a little afraid of. If his Pokemon chip away at mine enough, then his Ace Flamigo might be able to pick off some of Team Tera. I lead once again with Armoro, who Ice Punches the Tropius into smithereens. As expected, Larry sends out Staraptor next. I do not want to risk Armoro being on the receiving end of a close combat, so I switch to Gyarados. Her Intimidate and Fighting Resistance helps out a lot, and while they follow up with the Brave Bird, their defense drop makes Ice Fang a guaranteed knockout. Both Altaria and Oricorio are made very quick work of, thanks to our resident special attack and defense queen Foliages, with only a little confusion to play around until Flamigo finally makes his entrance. I once again have to rely on Gyarados to get the Intimidate off, but Tera Brave Bird is still terrifying. I pivot with the Steel Armoro, who resists the attack, to bait close combat yet again, and wow, that still did so much. Dodging crits, I do my Song and Dance one more time thanks to Gyarados Citrus Berry, and finally switch to Ground Earth on a Brave Bird that still almost takes us out. What the heck, Flamigo is goated! The situation is dire. Backed against the wall, I desperately look online for some answers. Are these guys EV'd up? Bottle capped up? If the Flamigo has max EVs, likely in speed and attack, then Ground Earth will not live to see tomorrow. Extreme Speed would have helped here, but we don't have it. Someone else on Reddit has a similar question, and the user by the name of Angry Loaf says that a Pokemon like Flamigo here has 25 IVs across the board with max HP EVs. If this is true, then Ground Earth should outspeed. I put all my faith into the first answer I find online, and we outspeed and get a clean KO with Flamethrower. Thanks you/Angry Loaf. I anticipated Amuro doing insane damage into Hazel's team as well, and she does. But she would have done even more if Noivern led with anything other than Super Fang. Noivern goes down, as well as the Dragology, after they leave us in the yellow. When the front-facing Haxorus comes in, I have no choice but to switch to Gyarados to Intimidate. I don't want her to take Rock Tomb damage, so I switch again to Normantis to finish up the job. Man, who would have thought that a move as strong as X-Scissor that gets guaranteed attack drops would be good? Flapple gets outsped thanks to our Quick Claw, and paves the way for Excalibur. Sorry for that imagery. Tera Boosted Glaive Rush is going to do massive damage to anyone whose name isn't Foliage's. I feel like from this range, I'd be a fool not to switch to her. And it looks like I remain to not be a fool. Well, depending on who you ask, remain might be the wrong word, but we stay in and get brought to the yellow with Icicle Crash. Foliage's returns the favor with a mighty, meaty Moonblast that brings them all the way to the red. I forgot to switch up Ground Earth's moveset, so the fool accusations are returning, I'm sure. But Dieradon shares a similar speed tier. The newest friend on the rotation outspeeds after all, and our outrage concludes our final Elite Four challenge. For now. Rounding off the gauntlet is Geeta, and we begin our fight with Foliage's versus Espathra. Foliage's has phenomenal power and bulk to back her up, and the bird with a bob goes down in no time. Veluza is next, but she's no Excalibur. I'm not sure how, but Foliage's outspeeds and wins yet another matchup. Avalugg will likely catch up to us with their avalanches, but Dieradon's Intimidates make way for Ground Earth, who melts them with Flamethrower. King Gambit is immediately burned, and Stone Edge becomes a non-issue. Well, I mean, as long as it doesn't crit. Armoro tags in on the resisted hit, and Drain Punch knocks them all the way into Gen 10. Honestly, I forgot about Go-Goat, but hey, they're another easy win from Ground Earth. Last is Glamora, and amidst their coverage, they're for sure going for Rock Terra Blast. This is where I pivot into Armoro, who, they used Earth Power. And because they also have Dazzling Gleam, I switch it to the Assault-vested Normantis. Of course, their attacks still do insane damage to us, while Ironhead takes them to the red. They may outspeed, but nothing they could do can save them from our priority Bullet Punch, winning us the fight against Geeta, and making us official champions of the Paldea region. With that win, Team Tera and I get a much needed break. Or at least the closest thing to a break we'll get for the rest of the game. Clive? Wait. Director Clavel? And I battle it out, but Teefleton takes out his Oranguru and Abomasnow before they set their screens in Aurora Vale, so it's no biggie. I get introduced to the director of the Blueberry Academy, and he's a little more forgetful than I remembered. Maybe I'm the forgetful one? At the top of the school, I challenge Cassiopeia. Wait! Penny? Her evolutions each have their fair share of counters, with Sylveon being the only scary one. But I've still got Normantis, who hard counters her. Arven is our last mini roadblock, and this team has a good amount of variety. I usually have some trouble with his Greedent, and this time is no different because it took 3 whole Pokemon for me to safely get rid of him. Other than that, once Ground Earth absorbs a Fire Blast with Flash Fire, the rest of Arven's team is quickly dealt with. The Mastiff isn't even absolved of Dieradon's judgment, and soon suffers the fate that we just cured him of. And finally, we get to battle Nemona for real, and her team is way more realized than all of her previous fights. She's got variety and coverage unlike anything up until now, and she's not holding back. It's time I finally surpass her for Team Tera's first major victory. Armoro leads strongly as usual, and after terrestrializing into the Steel type, her Lycanroc doesn't stand a chance. Eliminating the Stealth Rock user is huge. Palmot is clearly itching to use close combat, but Aqua Ice absorbs it for free on the Switch, and while the upcoming Ice Punch is super effective, we have great physical defense, and the Matcha Gotcha gets a burn. Should've got the DLC, Nemona. This game's pay to win, you didn't know? Even though Goodra threatens with the super effective Sludge Bomb, Foliage's is just too specially bulky, and a few Fairy Feather boosted Draining Kisses turns the Pseudo into one large raisin. Orthworm didn't fare much better, and was easily burnt to a crisp by Ground Earth. Honestly, Nemona's weirdest pick. Oh, you think you're funny now? Did Kieran put you up to this? With the assistance of Aquaized, Teefleton picks up the knockout on what almost was. And finally, the Meowscarada with coverage is here. I can't cheese them with Buglet anymore, so Teefleton stays in for a turn to get some damage off. Of course they outspeed, but they just go for another Thunder Punch, while Gigaton Hammer brings them all the way to the red. I assume they'd go for another Thunder Punch and stay in, but they switch to the Terra Boosted Flower Trick. Usually the trainer AI switches to the strongest move when they see the kill, but I'm really holding out hope that Teefleton can live it. And she holds on. Wide Lens guarantees that play rough lands, and with a crit, Nemona is defeated, marking us as the strongest team in the region. As far as we know anyways. From being social outcasts having to survive on their own, to champion level Pokemon recognized by the whole region, we've come a long way. Each and every Pokemon here has been so important to our success thus far, but just because we're champions that doesn't mean we won't be met with any more contention. Our journey brings us to Area 0. As soon as we enter this great crater, something clicks for my Pokemon. Something feels familiar about being here. It's as amicable as it is unsettling, but we must go deeper. Honestly, not the team I thought I'd fall on for this Paradox fight, but while a little quirky, they're gonna pack the exact punches that we need. We begin our battle against the corrupted Professor Sato. Cyclide finally gets her moment and shows the prehistoric Volcarona who they're dealing with by getting an above overkill with Tera Acrobatics. Fluttermane is switching in to either use Thunderbolt or Power Gem, but either way, Foliages is my special defense wall. She'll be perfectly fine with Draining Kiss to... Oh, okay, well, Shadow Ball's gonna hit even harder now, and I don't really have any great pivots. Another Shadow Ball brings Foliages to 80, but a Citrus Berry just about undoes that damage, while we retaliate with a Moonblast and lower their special attack stat. We could stay in, but with the goal of preserving my bulky bouquet, Normantis takes her place, and oh wow, that still did a lot. Protect and Leftovers do what they do, and Bullet Punch is a guaranteed kill. The Professor broadly sends out Brute Bonnet next. This works out for me because Normantis simply one-shots them with Lunge. Okay, all according to plan. Though I'm pretty sure an Earth Power from Sandy Shocks will finish us off here. I have no choice but to go to Aqua Ice now. Don't get me wrong, it's an easy choice. Machagacha, you guessed it, one-shots and heals up all of the damage we took. And while Screamtail does have Ice Punch, they're more bulky than scary and... okay, they don't last very long. Last up is the Booster Energy Roaring Moon. I'd like to fish for a burn or even use Strength Sap, but Night Slash will without a doubt take us out. My plan for this guy involves some very careful pivoting, which should be possible. Buglin is immensely bulky while holding the Eviolite, but even still, Night Slash takes a chunk off of him with a crit. That's fine because he was just a pivot for Tevilton, who will be immune to the upcoming Dragon Claw. On top of that, because she switched in for free, she's still being held in the air by her air balloons. Earthquake will be unable to land, so now all we have to do is play rough. I'd normally run the wide lens to guarantee it, but because we have the balloons, this match's conclusion will depend on whether or not we hit the 10% miss. Night Slash pops all our balloons and then some, and play rough misses. Okay, the battle isn't settled yet. There should be a way we could get out of this. I'm expecting Earthquake now, and since I preserved the Tera Cyclide, her immunity lets her switch for free. Now we Shed Tail after all to get Tevilton back in there. Round 2! We resist Stone Edge, but it's still enough to break the sub. Oh wow. She's able to land a second Fake Out at least, but we're running out of options. I don't like it, but I know what I have to do. Without healing, Shed Tail can only be used once a match. However, we know for a fact that Cyclide is faster. Man, she is a Dragon type. She's our last shot at this and needs to kill with Dragon Claw. And she does it! Professor Sato is handily defeated without her eliminating any of my team, and her defeat marks our victory over the entire base game. Alright, well, that's it for the easy stuff. You guys ready to go to Unova? Like many others, I'm sure, I've only played through this DLC the one time when it came out in 2023. I didn't level my Pokemon up to 100, and due to the difficulty of the blind double battles, I even lost a few matches. Pretty exciting coming back here. But this challenge just evolved into something completely new. Lacey, one of Blueberry Academy's Elite Four members, presents us with a good warm-up match, reintroducing the double battles with Plusle and Minun. They of course have their synergetic abilities, as well as Helping Hand, but they are just Plusle and Minun. My two ground types hold their ground, but I'm immediately taken back by her Excadrill's damage output. We're able to escape by with some clever Protect usage and pivoting, but even now, I was one wrong turn away from a casualty. Did I just change in front of everybody? And with that, the terrarium finally opens up. And you know what that means? Yep, back to Paldea. Those of you with a well-trained eye might have noticed that I haven't gotten every Tera type yet. I'm still missing two. The reason for that is that these two have been practically unobtainable until now, but I can safely and happily add Qumi, the Fairy-type Mimikyu, to the team. Yeah, her Fairy type isn't that different from her base type, but she's still more than welcome to join us. And last, but definitely not least, by hoofing it all the way to the top of the polar biome, then gliding down because we went the wrong way, we meet our Fighting Tera representative, Duraludon, who I'll be naming Real Steel. Now, given the scope of the run, around the time we challenged the Paldea Elite Four, I began EV training my Pokemon with Mochis and the old-fashioned way so that we could keep up. Some are a little more optimized than the others based on their early game usage, but this is around where we're at right now. Nature mints are available as well, so of course I'm gonna get them. By the way, I am writing the script as I go, but let me tell you, I am still terrified of what's to come. Back in the terrarium, I complete a small class assignment and reconnect with Carmine in the central plaza. She helps us get even more acclimated with the bodacious blueberry double battles. I don't plan on going easy on her, however, and lead with my starter and most recent catch. She leads with Toucannon and Mightyena, the latter of which has Intimidate, but Frostio doesn't need to worry about that thanks to her new Clear Amulet, negating the opposing stat drops. She also takes this rare opportunity to be the fastest thing on the field and gets the first knockout on her Tropical Bird. Mightyena didn't really deserve it, but our monstrous body press puts her next in line. Sinistcha and Scrafty come out next, and the Brick Breaks are terrifying for Frostio. Foliages takes her place, while Real Steel dodges a Stun Spore. Good call, me. Since Scrafty is too hit by Body Press, Real Steel follows through, and even though they finally land the para, Sinistcha is on her own and hardly lasts one more turn. Yeah, still nothing crazy, but the Blueberry Elite Four will soon change that. Which I am just now finding out is called the BBL Elite Four. Huh. Following the battle, we get to run into Kieran again too. And, aw, look at that. He's making friends. Before we can properly say hi, I get to meet Drayton. Wow, so many happy and wholesome people here. He gives me a brief rundown of the BBL Elite Four, and... oh! Hi, Kieran! Apparently I'm put on a mini trial here on whether or not I could actually join the BBL League. And Kieran, being the deciding vote, decides to let me join. Huzzah! One of the major catches to the BBL is that each of the Elite Four members are approximately the same level. However, unlike the other Elite Fours, I need to make sure to stay within the level cap the whole time, as there are breaks in between them. It's not a gauntlet, and the level cap beyond this current one is only 2 levels higher. Because of this, and the fact that these teams are heavily optimized, thank you Reddit, I'll be committing one last buff to Team Tera. Bottle caps to maximize IVs, and ability capsules for better abilities are both available. But in place of the money grind to get them, I just send everyone over to my original save where I've got plenty. Please understand, I've been recording so long already. Alright, are we all set? Everyone got some time to breathe? These battles are way more involved than all of those before, so it's time I lock all the way in. Crispin is first up due to his lower levels, and leads with Talonflame and Rotom Heat, while I've got Teevilton and Grip Bash. Teevilton Terras defensively here, so that I can fake out Talonflame with little repercussion. Talonflame is fast, and if he got Sunny Day up, then my guys wouldn't be able to keep up. Flame Body activates of course, but it looks like Rotom was going for the burn anyways. Do they know when I Terra now? Grip Bash then uses his Life Orb boosted Rock Slides, and Talonflame is out. Exeggutor is next, but without the sun, it's an easy double up and done. Rotom again went for the burn, but Grip Bash just dodged. Let's go! I'm feeling good here, so I continue the onslaught against Camerupt. His Expert Belt gets knocked off, and while Rotom finally lands the Will-O-Wisp, Camerupt dodges our Drill Run. Well, it had to happen at some point. I think it's time to switch. Gaflame and Foliages are in. Their special bulk makes them very safe here, relatively. Unfortunately, Gaflame isn't invested enough in speed to outspeed the Rotom, so he gets burned before landing a flimsy Aqua Cutter. Foliages sets up the Rain Dance before eating a Zen Headbutt that a Wiki Berry heals off. With the Overheat debuffing Rotom's special attack, Hex doesn't do enough to stop us from Aqua Cutting the Cow and Chilling Watering the Rotom. 2 Pokemon left. These do happen to be the scariest ones. Who would have guessed? Blaziken can kill anyone from this range, but I'm expecting a Shadow Claw into Gaflame, while Magmortar sets up the Sun. I predict perfectly because Gulax eats the Shadow Claw for free, and Foliages capitalizes on the Sun getting set up to use Synthesis. But this is a massive misplay. Crispin's signature move is Temper Flare. It does double damage when the move fails, and guess what? Shadow Claw failed. If I had only used Rain Dance over and over, then the sun wouldn't be up, and one of my oldest Pokemon would still be with us. Aside from the sun, the only bright side here is that Gulax used Yawn on Blaziken. With our Moro on the field, neither of my Pokemon could get one shot, and with one double up after another, the battle is soon decided. Yeesh, losing Foliage just sucks. It was avoidable, and she was an amazing special wall. That's the BBL for you. Amari's trial involves Koraidon being able to fly momentarily. I'd like to use this temporary power to get to the top of the dome, There's some really nice goodies up there, but alas, the time limit wouldn't let us. But I think I'll live, because this fight wasn't nearly as stressful to plan for as Crispin was. One reason for that is that her leads of the trendy Dugtrio and Skarmory are way easier to deal with. Yanmind was always safe from a Stone Edge thanks to a Focus Sash, but they miss and we get to double up with Struggle Bug to break their Focus Sash and Sturdy. And follow through with a Heat Wave that almost takes them both out. Skarmory holds on by a lot. I guess I did my calcs wrong. Oh yeah, I'm doing calcs now, by the way. The Skarmory gets to set up Stealth Rocks as a result, but we've got the momentum. Empoleon threatens with a Hydro Pump, so while Ground Earth protects, Yanmind sets the Sunny Day. Apparently you could still get Whirlwinded while protecting, so Frostio gets pulled in. By now, the Intimidate and Burn have neutered Skarmory so much that I don't really care about it, and continue weakening the Empoleon with Struggle Bug. Yanmind then gets forced to switch to Real Steel, and this is perfect. Skarmory then falls to the burn, and Reuniclus comes out. From here, Frostio gets some much needed chip on the Embryo, and Real Steel charges up. Her Power Herb activates, so Electro Shot gets the +1 in special attack, and immediately fires off to obliterate the Empoleon. Oh, and Reuniclus sets Trick Room, reversing the speed of the fight. The next sequence is a little funky, but Ground Earth takes Frostio's place to take advantage of the sun. Scizor uses Trailblaze, raising its speed. Real Steel gets some more chip, and the Reuniclus undoes the Trick Room because Scizor went for a speed boosting move? Alright, well they threw, but I'm not complaining. An easy double kill is on my horizon, and while Metagross is scary, so are we, and the battle ends as easy as that. I'm gonna try to move on quickly so I don't gloat and jinx anything. No thoughts, just vibes. I wish I was chill like her. By the way, I did not copy Lacey's hair. I just returned to my original. Though it does look good on her, don't get me wrong. Just like the first two, Lacey has a team that heavily relies on her leads. Unfortunately for her, she doesn't have a backup. So once I Tera Teevilton, because I don't really have another option, she flinches her Whimsicott, and Real Steel lets me take her out before they can attack. Most of her team is very slow, so getting rid of the Tailwind chance is massive. The Grand Bull damage is real in the meantime, but it's fine. Now, if I had equipped a Clear Amulet like I was thinking, Teevilton could have evaded the Intimidate, and Gigaton hammered the Grand Bull. But I decided on a Citrus Berry instead for some reason, so I switch and protect. Frostio's brand new Intimidate comes in handy for the incoming Play Rough. Now we get an easy, speedy double KO. Frostio uses the new Supercell Slam, which needs a wide lens to guarantee a hit, and Real Steel uses Flash Cannon. Next is Alcremie and the American Slowbro, so we double up into Slowbro. This thing makes up for most of Lacey's coverage, so I need it gone. I mean, it's not like Alcremie would do much in the meantime. Oh my goodness! Frostio, I was not ready to lose you. Way to go. Excadrill never needed Tailwind, and is already speedier than my entire team. I opt for the Switch and Protect move again, this time into Daradon to Intimidate. That's really important because even though we absorbed the high horsepower, Alcremie goes for the Decorate, which boosts Excadrill's attack by 2 stages. But because they're only at +1 now, I'm entirely safe to attack and switch again. When Normantis enters, he dodges their attack. It's nice, but it wasn't necessary. Alcremie Decorates again, but now we could safely and surely Bullet Punch to remove the ace from the picture. Alcremie wasn't far behind, and now we only have one last BBL member left. They usually save the easiest for last, right? Drayden's Elite Four challenge is a little different from the others, as you're supposed to have 3 back-to-back battles using only Pokemon that you caught in the terrarium. I do not meet these requirements. Real Steel is my only terrarium Pokemon, and even then it doesn't let me battle because I need at least 2. Well, Drayden wants me to use different Pokemon, so I'll use different Pokemon. Works for me because I was worried about overleveling. But now that we're here, we don't really have to worry about that anymore, because this is the last time this level cap will be, this low. And for any of you worried that Cumi wouldn't get her time to shine, worry no more. She makes her proper debut with Frostio here, and turn 1 couldn't have gone better. Frostio uses Ice Terra Blast to immediately one-shot the Life Orb Flygon, while Cumi burns the Dragonite. They can still set up Tailwind, but now his attacks will do nothing. We commit to taking out Haxorus, as even Ironhead wouldn't kill Frostio at this range. They instead use Earthquake, which hits Cumi through disguise thanks to Mold Breaker. That's the first time I've ever seen that ability work. Huh, I guess I should have worried about Ironhead into Cumi. Well, from there, because Cumi broke the Sash, another Terra Blast from Frostio gets a kill. That's my starter! It's time for Daradon to take her place though, and She eats a double up amazingly, while Qumi goes on the offensive on Dragonite. Deerdon tanks another double up thanks to their stat drops, and then we do our own double up into Sceptile. Their weakness policy and Unburden activate, but it doesn't matter because Qumi could hit them with a Shadow Sneak to take them out. The Tailwind just ended too, and Deerdon takes Dragonite out at the perfect time. This is going so well. But maybe I should have tried to stagger the Pokemon instead, because Archaludon and Kingdra is a nasty combo. In preparation, Gulax takes the stage. He's my most specially defensive Mon at this point, so no one else could tag in. Qumi gets some great damage on the Terradace, but then they get a free single-turn Electro Shot thanks to Kingdra's Rain. It's not insane damage, but the +1 to special attack is going to be a problem. Gulax protects at the perfect time and absorbs 2 hits for free, while Qumi gets to play rough again. Archaludon lives it thanks to their stamina, and ends up with a +2 to their defense. Then we get unlucky. In hindsight, I guess my only play was a double protect, or risking the play rough miss, but Qumi's Shadow Sneak, while 100% accurate, isn't enough to get the kill now. In return, the rain boosted Hydro Pump and a +1 Tera Dragon Pulse was just too much for even Gulax, making him the 4th death of the run. Take a nice long rest, big guy. Tiefleton, with the use of Fake Out and Helping Hand, guarantees our victory from here. And honestly, this Elite Four could have gone way worse. I would have really liked it to go better though. You really kept me waiting. Took you a while to beat the Elite Four. Kinda slow for you, isn't it? He's not wrong. This took me 3 real-life days. Honestly, I'm not sure if I'm ready for Kieran. The previous boss battles have all had the theme that I could generally play around. With Kieran, his team is built like it was from a real VGC player. I mean, not a world champion, there's no Pachirisu or Perish Song, but still a threat. For me to get through Kieran Deathless, I need to end the fight as soon as possible. Oh, what? Oh, yeah, Buglin finally evolved. This can only happen just after beating Drayton, and sadly he won't be utilized in the Kieran fight. Just wanted to show off. Well, we've made Kieran wait long enough. Let's do this, and let's have no regrets, please. Stronger than anyone else across 3 regions, Kieran has grown and locked all the way in. He's leading with Dragonite and Politoed, and their strategy involves rain shenanigans, while their bulk usually lets them pull it off. Unfortunately for them, Tera Frostio and Gaflame are just what I need to end this quickly. With a Life Orb, Gaflame's Sharpness Leaf Blade is a 50-50 on if it kills, but we get a crit and Politoed goes down, with a Choice Banded Ice Terra Blast plowing through Dragonite's multiscale. The heavy hitters of Porygon Z and Incineroar are next. I can predict a Fake Out, but the Adaptability Life Orb Porygon Z is likely going to go for Hyper Beam, and the question is, which slot? I assume it'd be into Gaflame, as he's the bigger threat offensively. And I assume correctly. Real Steel with the Assault Vest handily eats the double up, and my 2 pseudos are firmly planted on the field. Porygon is recharging, and I should absolutely get another double KO here. But my heart sinks into my stomach as I realized a massive regret. Real Steel can OHKO Porygon Z with Draco Meteor as planned, but I forgot to give Close Combat to Amuro for the Incin. If the Incineroar doesn't get one-shot, Darkest Lariat will ignore the defense boost from Stamina, so Real Steel has to switch out now. Frostio returns to take her place, and luckily Amaro still has what it takes to barely one-shot Porygon Z with Drain Punch. Frostio absorbs the Lariat, and Grimmsnarl is out next. This little demon breaks my ankles in more ways than one. I've always known these guys for setting up screens at the first possible opportunity. Tiefleton enters to inhibit that as she has Brick Break, while Drain Punch does massive damage into the Incineroar. Tiefleton tanks an unfortunate Flare Blitz as a result, and while Grimm goes last, I thought it had something to do with our Mold Breaker canceling out Prankster's priority, but it turns out they were going for the kill on our Moro, which was a roll. I got so in my head that I didn't even consider it. If I had relearned Close Combat, then this wouldn't have even been a problem. I'm sorry, Armoro. Gaflame rejoins, and fortunately he could finish off the bane of VGC, while Tiefleton makes way with Fake Out. Kieran's Hydrapple was last. Conveniently after I just evolved mine. But this guy is a problem. I have to make a decision that'll be life or death, but it's my only out from here. Grimmsnarl's Spirit Break will one-shot Gaflame, and Hydrapple's Earth Power could one-shot Tiefleton. If I don't go on the offensive one way or the other, then Grim will eventually set up screens, and I'll probably lose from there. I have no choice but to double up into the Grimmsnarl and hope for the best. Kieran terrestrializes Hydrapple into the Fighting type, and Play Ref lands on the Hairy Imp with Sacred Sword following shortly after to finish the job. The moment of truth arrives, as they do in fact go for Earth Power, and Teevelton isn't able to hold on. If she didn't eat the extra Flare Blitz earlier, then she would have been perfectly fine. Humi is here to save the day, and a critical Play Rough lands, meaning a Flame Psycho Cut was way more than necessary to take out Hydrapple, winning us a very unfortunate but victorious match against Kieran, the guy responsible for half of all my deaths, and the ex-champion. Teevelton and Amuro were some of my favorites, and were absolute units that made this run what it is. It's sad that they won't be making it to the very end, but Team Tera will have to push forward without them. Oh, look at that! I got the Indigo Disc! GG's, game over! We have one last little venture with the squad. Kieran, Carmine, me, and Briar. Briar? We've gained access to explore even more of Area Zero, and honestly, I'm pretty excited. Last time we were there, our objective didn't have much to do with it, but everyone on Team Tera had felt some familiarity, almost as if we had some unfinished business to tend to. So you've been here before, right? Decisions. Anyways, I don't need to slowly walk down anymore. I can just jump and get to the bottom of Area Zero in no time. Is that Koraidon? We make our way to the Area Zero lab, and thanks to the Indigo Disc, we're able to go deeper than ever before. Or at least deeper than for a long time. Heath, the guy who discovered everything about terrestrialization, left some of his findings in the Underdepths, and described another type, Stellar, that exists among the Pokemon down here. I thought Real Steel was my last encounter for the run, but it looks like I'm still missing someone. I don't have to wait long as we immediately run into a lone Stellar Glimora. For some reason my Pokeballs aren't working, so all I could do is defeat them and move on. They seem so alone. I thought I could help them feel at home a little bit on our team, but it is what it is. Continuing down the perilous path, we run into another one. This time it's a Noivern. Bugland has no problem taking them out, but I can't help but feel bad as these Tera Pokemon aren't so different from the ones that I've grown with throughout the journey. Stellar Sandy Shocks, Stellar Garganackle, and Stellar Tree. Same goes for all of them. Right when it seems like it'll never end, we finally find it. The hidden treasure of Area Zero. All alone. Immediately, Kieran guns for it to claim it as his own. And right when it finally wakes up, Terapagos imprints on me. And now, no doubt about it, it's his. In an attempt to test its power, he challenges me to a battle. And this one goes down just like the others. No problem at all. Bugland and Aqua Ice do the job. It wasn't that difficult. Something was missing, and because of that, Briar tells Kieran to terrestrialize Terapagos. And once he does, that's when it hit me. This crystal turtle has been here this whole time. Every step of my journey has been made because of him. He's the reason my Pokemon were terrestrialized differently. He's the cause of so many others being outcasted by their peers. Yet, it's not his fault. The Tera types could have been anything, but they were the ones that suited them best. Bugland was always a bug type at heart, Aqua Ice the water, and so on. It was the others who should have been more accepting. Terapagos, the last of his kind, just wanted a friend. But now the Tera energy has gotten out of control, and if we don't stop him now, then we'll all be consumed by the massive pure Tera crystals. We need to end this. Bugland leads the fight and tanks the first Tera Starstorm of many. Our Syrup Bombs begin to lower their speed, but now we need greater damage. Real Steel enters, and the Tera Starstorm continues to hurt a lot, while Sinistcha just uses Rage Powder. Luckily, Carmine goes for it again and takes the attention of Earth Power. And thank goodness, because we would have been goners otherwise. First Sinistcha fainted, but now we can Tera, and Real Steel's buffed and boosted body press shatters the shield on Terapagos. Somehow our Tera energy is absorbed, and suddenly, we're on our own. Kieran is hesitant to join, so with Earth Power likely on its way, Buglin tags back in. He's healed up a little bit thanks to his Regenerator ability, and the Assault Vest lets us tank the attack fairly well. We spend a few turns to build up the Tera Orb again, and once Buglin gets sent into the yellow, it's time we switch to Kiyumi. His disguise gets broken for the very first time, and Kieran is still not here. Luckily, Kiyumi can finally use his own Tera, and while our doubly effective Play Rough doesn't break the shield, Terapagos' Zen Headbutt isn't enough to get the Yoko. With the Wide Lens accuracy boost, another Tera boosted Play Rough breaks the second shield. Thanks to the spirit shown by Kiyumi, Kieran finally joins, and I'm ready to finish this. Both of our Hydrapples are on the field, and both are unbothered by the next Tera Starstorm. Kieran's got Seer Bomb doing super effective damage now, as I guess Terapagos has a water type shield, but I need to be crafty. I want to preserve his Hydrapple too, while healing Buglin up with Regenerator. So Agua Ice tags in to heal him up with her Hospitality. It preserves them a little bit, and our Machigacha does considerable damage. Buglin is back, healthier than ever, and Kieran's Hydrapple goes all out with Fickle Beam. From there, he barely holds on after another Tera Starstorm, so I take this opportunity to heal him up with Pollen Puff. Kieran returns the favor and hypes up Buglin with Dragon Cheer. Unfortunately for Kieran, we still need one more turn before we could break their shield with the Tera. So, while it was a nice idea, healing his Hydrapple only resulted in a little chip. GG's, Kieran. But he's not done yet! Dragonite joins the fight, and Buglin terastallizes into the Bug type. Before we attack, Dragonite lands a Thunder that paralyzes them. This is huge, because once Buglin breaks their third and final shield with Pollen Puff, while the stats reset, the para stays. Now Buglin continues to outspeed, and goes all out for one final Fickle Beam that not only finishes off Terapagos, but also wins us the DLC and the entire game. I throw one last Pokeball, and my final Tera friend joins the team. Welcome in, buddy. On top of that, Kieran apologizes for everything, and we become friends again. Disregarding his murdering of my Pokemon, I didn't know we had a problem. Works for me. Thank you all so much for watching. I've been planning on making this video for a long time, and so glad I finally got around to making it. The DLC provides an insane challenge for a vanilla game, and I wanted to use this themed challenge as an excuse to test the waters Nuzlocking post-game content. Honestly, it took a massive amount of time, and for Scarlet and Violet specifically, I'll probably do it again when it feels right. Probably not every time. Speaking of post-game content, there is also the epilogue, with an updated battle against Nemona as well as a boss fight against Pecharunt. I initially planned on running that as well, but with how long this video's already gotten and how many real-world hours this took, I figured this would be a more satisfying place to conclude it. Anyways, thanks again to all of you who stuck around and watched to the very end. I really appreciate it. If you like this, then you'll also like the other videos that I put out and I'm working on now. Leaving a like and subscribe should help YouTube keep you in the loop. Also, who's your favorite Team Tera Pokemon? I was a little worried she'd fall off, but Frostio really stood her ground. But that's all I've got for you today. I'll see you guys next time, and have a good one.